Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bold Badass Business, where we bring you big hearted badasses who are making a difference in the lives of business owners like you. And today, you all, I'm super excited to have with us Lori Lyons, who is a marketing strategist extraordinaire. I had the good fortune of meeting Lori on the Podcasters Cruise last year. Had a great time talking with her about her programs in Marketing Made Simple. She's very excellent at helping you get out there and do the kind of marketing that works for you and that you enjoy. Because we all know if you don't enjoy it, you aren't going to do it. So, welcome to the show, Lori. Glad to have you here.
Well, thank you, Dr. Barnsley. I'm looking forward to it. This will be fun.
We are going to have fun. And I know that today's topic is super, super important because so many people lose momentum when they approach even starting a business. And when they're in the middle of their business, there are going to be those rocky moments where we all kind of ask ourselves, why am I doing this? How did they move through that? What's holding them back? So let me ask you, how did you get interested in this topic in momentum killers?
Well, it was kind of funny. To give you a little backstory, I owned my own business in the 90s before work from home and entrepreneur was really a buzzword. I had my own company and I worked in my basement and people thought I was weird. But I owned a marketing packaging company. I sold customized ring binders and folders and DVD and video packaging.
Woo,
and
I remember those.
I know, right? And so this went on. I had a really nice business until about 2005, 2006. And I finally figured that internet thing wasn't going to go anywhere. And people just weren't interested in what I had to offer anymore. The clients, there was a little bit, but really I would really have to restructure my business totally. And I
Mm-hmm.
just finally decided, you know what, I'm just gonna close the business and I'm gonna go work for somebody else for a while. Big mistake. I am not employable anymore. But I did go to work for a digital marketing company, which was fabulous because I started with nothing. I didn't know. I barely knew how to turn on a computer. I'd used them, but I didn't have to go to that end of it. And as I started getting involved in the business and learning more, I realized that it was such a good combination of my marketing skill set, my graphics skill set, and design skill set, and all the stuff that I had learned in my past. I call it career capital that kind of came together. And this digital marketing internet website thing, all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is really cool. And, fast forward a couple of years and I was laid off because I wasn't technical enough. But what they didn't know was over the course of working with him, I had become technical. I was asking questions. I was playing around with stuff on the side. So at 52, I had taught myself how to build websites. And when I left the company, I had a couple of friends say, hey, we were going to reach out to you because we need a website. And I'm like, well, I'll build you one. And then it was kind of gulp. What did I just do? I'd never built a total one on my own. And I said, full transparency, I've never built one, but if you're willing to be patient, we'll give it a try. And he's like, I haven't replaced my website in 10 years. I don't think a couple of months is going to make a difference. So I did. He paid me. And, it just kind of grew from there. And, 10 years later, here I am, working with clients all over the world, and it's amazing, and really have a way to bring in all the things that I enjoy doing, which is the marketing strategy, the design work. It's like putting puzzles together, and we build websites differently using those strategies that make sense from a marketing standpoint.
I'm so happy to hear that because when I teach creative marketing seminars, I always talk to people about your website designer probably doesn't know how to market you. And so it's great that you bring that synergy. That is huge. because just even the smallest things like using hypnotic marketing, using you instead of I on a website make all the difference. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
most
Yeah.
web designers are really, really ignorant of these things.
Well, and they are. And, I was at an event this weekend and was talking about it. And I said, there are website people on every street corner from, you can go to websites and get them for $250. And I can't tell you how many of those clients have come to me, and I've totally fixed the websites and, gave them something that they can be proud of. And, I tell them it's not just a pretty face. You want it to lead to conversions, and you want it to actually work for you and make you money, because that's what the investment is for. You don't want to just throw money out the window. That's, not something that's going to help you bring in business. And that's what your website should do.
And you don't want to do it yourself. That's the other thing. You do not want to do it yourself. And you do not want Uncle George to do it either.
Nope. Nope.
You just
one of my favorite quotes is, homemade is only good in cookies.
I love that. That reminds me of a saying of mine, which is the only thing that should be flaky are biscuits.
Yes.
No flaky business owners. Yeah, it's so true that, don't have somebody, even when they offer, one of your friends just politely decline, because truthfully, you're going to have to go back and redo it. It's going to all have to be redone.
Right. And if you're a beginning business owner, it's fine. I mean, because a lot of things first of all, I will tell any beginning business owner that don't worry about a website. Go out and make money, get clients, make cash, bring people into your world first, and then worry about what a website looks like. If you want to throw something up that's got your name and a contact, and that's fine, but your business is going to change. It's going to morph. It's going to grow and evolve and, slither into other things, and you're just going to have to go back and redo. So don't spend a lot of money when you first get started. Wait and save that till you're a couple of years in, till your business is settled, and then you can go in and do something really cool and really bring the clients in, because it's not going to matter if you don't have clients paying you.
Exactly. And you've got to get your messaging. You've got to get your messaging focused and effective before you do that website. And that takes some time.
Right.
That takes continuous tweaking and honing of that message. I'm glad to hear you say that that's what you tell beginning business owners, because what I tell them is you don't need a website at all at the beginning.
Yeah,
you can use a Facebook page if you want, create a Facebook business page, have your Google My Business page. Can use that, whatever. You can have that if you want to have it. You could send them to your LinkedIn, but you don't need it. And most people elaborately procrastinate on making money by working on the website.
They can do other stuff, but I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit, because even if you just put up just something very simple with a picture and a contact form, but as a beginning business owner, if you start thinking about, because could be a momentum killer, when you start thinking about adding clients and connecting with the people that you're meeting, you want to have something that you can offer them. And a website is a good place to have a lead magnet. So you can start collecting and start building your email list at the very beginning, because a lot of us, I didn't do that for years. And here I'm in the business. Yeah. And I found out in March of 2020 that I had no way to talk to my clients or to the people that that was in my world, saying, hey, now's the time to go online. And that was a big lesson for me, because I was doing it for everybody else, but cobbler shoes, I wasn't doing it for me. So
I'm really glad you mentioned that. Yeah. And so those of you listening, you could really think about it being just like a landing page, and a landing page is just like a one-page website, right?
Right. Exactly.
Where they just come on and you're offering your lead magnet, which is for the newbies here. The lead magnet is something like a checklist or an ebook or a video that they give you their email, and I would get their cell phone too. I would, because there's a lot of text marketing going on. So just a tip for everybody, go ahead and get their cell phone, even if you're not going to use text marketing till later.
But don't require it, because you'll lose people. Yeah.
Yeah. You may not. I don't know. I don't feel like that it's affected mine, but also it depends on how you're meeting your people who come
Yes.
on your list.
Yes.
And if they're meeting you because they're coming to a presentation or you're meeting them networking, they're going to have a higher level of trust than if they're
Yes.
just finding you on the internet.
Totally
But I think
agree.
you're absolutely right, Lori, about that they could have just a simple landing page, and you all, you can just get that done through upwork.com for maybe $20, $25.
Yeah, a
It
little
won't
bit more.
cost much.
But
And
yeah.
just something,
Yeah.
something for the beginning so that you can begin to capture people's emails and do email marketing with them. By the way, I want to mention I made a huge mistake about this, and Lori, I tell you, it's one of the things I most regret in my business is that I tried to do it a cheaper way. So I did not invest in the e-commerce and database and email marketing that I have, which is I use one shopping cart, right? I did not invest in it for the longest time. And so I had people in this other free thing. And when I transferred them over, I lost a whole bunch of people. I lost thousands of people. And that was painful. So, what I want to say to everybody listening is you can go to spirited-solutions.com, which is my website, and hit the partners button and go down. There's a 30-day free trial of that system. Don't be a cheapskate. Get it set up. Get that part set up well so you don't lose people down the road because you've tried to do it the cheap way. And you got a 30-day free trial.
Yeah. Take advantage. Take advantage of free trials everywhere.
And because I'm like an inveterate researcher, I mean, I research everything. My ex-husband used to laugh because he's like, I'll ask you a question, and the next day there's like a sheaf of papers, or you've texted me all these articles to read. Right. But I researched it a lot, you all, and actually what they offer is very, very competitive price-wise, that company, to if you're just going to use email marketing and you don't need to do digital products, etc. I mean, you can really get out with under $30 a month just to have up to 10,000 people on your list. So it's a good company. And then if you decide you want to have audios, you want to have ebooks, etc., you can always have those housed in that cart system. What I liked is it was one place to go into. I am not good at logging into a million places, Lori. I really am not.
I hear you.
Yeah. So with the momentum killers, I like that you pointed out that it can be a momentum killer to not have that in place. So you can go ahead and start getting people's emails, because email marketing is, once you have that system, it's free, y'all. Free.
Yep.
And you can stay in front of your people. So what are some of the other common momentum killers that you see in business owners, Lori?
Yes. Using social media ineffectively will kill your momentum. And I'm not talking about just the mindless scrolling, watching kitty and puppy videos on TikTok. I'm talking about if you're out promoting your business and you're not giving a call to action on your social media that will drive them to that landing page or that one-page website or wherever you're collecting emails, because you want to make sure that you're bringing your followers off of social media. We've all seen it where Facebook went down for a couple of hours in the last few months and people panicked. It's happened to Instagram, it's happened to YouTube. And it's if you own your followers by putting them on your email list, then it doesn't matter what happens, because you can always talk to them and not depend on the social media to talk to them. So make sure. I had a client, a coaching client last week. We came onto our coaching call and he said, all right, I want to know something that I can do to improve my business today. And I'm like, great question. We can be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But and I said, let's look at your social media. And we went back through and looked at his social media, and he was doing videos. He was doing all the air quotes right things, but yet he wasn't doing a call to action. And I said, this is what you need to incorporate into your into the end of your videos, that everything that you do, put them in the comments, have some call to action, whether it be schedule an appointment with you. You don't have anything fancy. You can have a discovery call. You can have, the lead magnet. You can make any kind of, you could send them to a webinar. Or you could, send them a list of your favorite podcasts. I mean, if you're really struggling for something to send, make a list of your favorite podcasters or podcast episodes and send that out, especially if it has to do with your business. That's cool. I'd get that. And I love listening to podcasts. So it can be something very simple, and we can talk, for another 2 hours on lead magnets and things that they can do with it. But that's a big momentum killer right there.
That is wonderful advice. And you all really, if you get shut down on Facebook or something else and you have everything there and all your people there and you don't have their emails, you are royally screwed. So make sure that you do what Lori is saying and you bring them into your email marketing funnel, at least with your lead magnet. And I also want to say something about the call to action, because I'm with you on that. Every piece of marketing we do needs to have some kind of connection to our business. Even if it's, I just am thinking about when I was on this island recently, and I can't remember if it was that cruise or a different cruise. I think it was the cruise we were on. And there were all these wild donkeys. And so I was taking all these pictures because, of course, my show is the Bold Badass Business Show, right? Taking pictures of me with donkeys, cute donkeys. And of course, I used these. I put them up and I used them to register people for a webinar. But if you're on a trip and you see something, make sure you relate it to your business. If you have something happen in your life and you're telling the story, make sure you relate it somehow to your business. And think about the fact that a call to action doesn't necessarily have to be, go get this free session, go get this lead magnet. It doesn't have to be that overt. It can be something like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a program on XYZ. What do you think about that? Would you be interested in something like that? And see who comments. And then you can look at who comments and you can reach out directly to them to get more feedback. But also, if you do design the program, then you can reach out and say, hey, by the way, I know you thought this was interesting. I have designed the program. I'd love to invite you to be in the beta launch of it.
Yep. And we forget that you can look at comments and see who's interested in what you're doing.
Exactly. And you can even look at the likes and the loves, because I got likes and loves on the donkey pictures, Lori. I did. They're cute. Yeah. And the donkeys were cute. And I remember, I reached out to people who were laughing at them because they were funny. And I said, hey, you're coming to the webinar, aren't you? It was a perfect reason to connect with people. So watch who's liking and loving your stuff and encourage engagement. That's a call to action, to encourage engagement.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's my podcast. Oh, what's your favorite podcast? You find out who's listening to podcasts.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, so that's great. I love that advice. That is really stellar, brilliant advice, Lori. And most people figure these things out when it's too late, right?
Right.
When they've been shut down, or like you said, something has gone, a platform has gone down for whatever reason. Absolutely. And, or they have missed many opportunities that they could have brought people into their fold.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If you look for opportunities, you see them everywhere.
They are. They absolutely are. And we create them, we figure out ways to create them. So what would you say are some of the other momentum killers that folks need to watch out for that are going to take them down in their business?
Sure. One of the biggest ones, and I saved this, I didn't lead with this because invariably when I say this, people roll their eyes and like, again, but I would lose my marketing card, membership card, if I didn't talk about identifying your ideal client. Because it's so important, and I'm not talking about niching down. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about deciding who you talk to, decide the language that you talk to them. But here's what we don't tell you, or people don't talk about. one of the reasons that we want to identify our ideal client is because in the back of our brain, and you've probably talked about this before, you have a reticular activating system. You have a heat-seeking missile that if you program it, will go out and find what you're looking for. So if you program this reticular activating system with who your ideal client is and be very specific, not just women over 50, which you hear all the time, but be very specific, be very conscious about what you're programming into this. I work with women over 50 that are within 2 to 3 years of starting a new business. They've come from corporate. They are empty nesters. They want to retire, but they don't have the money to retire yet because of whatever reason. They want to supplement their income. So I could go on and on and on about, being very specific about who this person is. And once I do that, that programs that reticular activating system. So it's constantly looking for that person for me, and it will help me find them. So that is just some kind, it's I don't know, the you probably know the physical term of it, but it's a system that we all have, and we all work on this and fine tune that system. It will go out and work for you. And in addition to all the other stuff that people talk about, making sure your language is there, making sure that you're saying, like you said at the very beginning, you're saying you and not I. I is a momentum killer because this is about me. Even on a website, the second most visited page on a website is the about page, because people want to know now, especially small business owners, who they're working with. And if you've got a very boring, blah, 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 this is my, this is what I do, these are my credentials, blah, 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 that is a turnoff. What you want to say instead is, here is the story of how I know I can help you. Here is a story about overcoming the problem that you have that I've personally done. I say in my bio that when I'm talking about on my about story, I said, I don't have one of those, explosive stories. I just kind of fell into this. That's why I understand, for those of you that are falling into a business or just starting a business and haven't really set the parameters, I understand, because I've been there. I've done that. I started a business overnight, virtually, when I got laid off. So I understand what you're going through. I understand what it takes to start a business, bootstrap a business from nothing. And that's how I apply my background to what they're going through now. And that's what you want to do. Maybe you're a health and wellness coach and you want to help people lose weight, and you've lost, 60 pounds, and you want to show them. Then you say, and you can say I and you're about, because it is about you, but you can say, I know what it's like. I struggled with my weight all my life. I was made fun of, blah, 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 blah. I've changed. I've lost weight, and here's how I did it. Let me help you. Let me share your story. And then you hit the pain points, because you've talked a little bit about it. I've struggled with my weight. I was made fun of. Those are pain points that people that are overweight will have. Trust me, I know. But so that you can talk about your about page that way, by relating what your experience is to what they're going through. So that's another helpful hint when you're looking at your content.
Lori. I love that. So I hope you all are listening. You want to tell your origin story. What drew you to do the thing that you do? And I'm not just talking about, I want to create 1 million women millionaires.
Right.
I'm talking about the story. Like, one of my stories is I watched my mother struggle, growing up, because my father was an alcoholic and he couldn't keep a job. And so my mom was an entrepreneur by necessity. And my brother and I became entrepreneurs by necessity. We would go out, and it's a story I share in my book package. We would go out, and we lived in a nice neighborhood, got an old house, gutted it, and, reworked it. The inside was not great, but it was a nice neighborhood. We'd go out on the trash days and we would find the most exquisite things, Lori. We would find
Right.
antiques that somebody wouldn't refinish, or we'd find something nice that just needed to be washed because maybe the dog peed on it. We'd find these things that were treasures, and we'd take them back and we would rework them and we would refinish them. We would sand them, refinish them, wash them, whatever. And then we'd have these big sales. And this was a business. This was one of my mother's businesses, but it was a business that she did with my brother and me. And guess what? You know, my brother is now deceased, but guess what? He became an antique appraiser. He had a consignment store.
Wow.
All of that
Yeah.
came out of that beginning.
Yeah.
And
And just think, if they had TikTok then, you could have done TikTok videos or Instagram videos.
exactly. Yeah. We could have done videos. There was a guy who would come with his own marker. Can you imagine, Lori? And he would like try to put his own prices that he wanted to pay on the stuff. And my brother and I would go around and rat on him. He would come to our sales and try to reprice stuff. Can you
Oh,
imagine?
gee.
But my origin story was born out of necessity, but it nourished the entrepreneurial spirit in me, that whole beginning with
Absolutely.
my mother, and seeing her do the businesses that she did and also participating in some of them was really essential modeling for how I became who I became later in life. And
Absolutely.
that origin story is infinitely more interesting than Dr. Barnsley Brown has way too much education, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. And it gives you a connection. It gives you
Yes.
a point of reference that you can say, oh, I feel like I've met this person. I know who this person is, much more than an impersonal bio. And that's probably, when I'm working with my clients, it's probably the biggest headbutting that we have, because it's so untraditional to do the origin story versus the straight out bio, especially for some people that are very educated and very, very degreed. They want to show those off, and I understand that. So what we do is we do the origin story, and then we say, if you want to read more, then click here, and then we list all the credentials, because there are people that want to know those credentials before they hire somebody, and that is perfectly okay. We don't want to dismiss, certainly, the hard work and education and the credentials that you have. We just want you to connect on a different level before you pull in those credentials.
I love that. And then also, before, when you're at the end, share what you do with your life. When she's not working, Dr. Barnsley Brown is rescuing animals and doing improv theater.
Oh, yeah.
Have something that makes you a human being, because this is the age of distrust in marketing, you all. It is the age of distrust, and for very good reasons, because there are a lot of snake handling, snake oil selling, and snake handling people out there. They probably handle snakes too, but they're selling snake oil and promising results they don't give. And, there's a lot of distrust. And so having that human relatable part of you with your origin story is very, very important. And it humanizes you and makes you be accessible too.
And I'll piggyback on that, because another momentum killer is using stock photos. Right along with getting to know you. You can't get to know somebody if you don't have your own photos. We won't work with somebody that is not willing to go out and do their unbranded photos, because it gives you who you are. And even though, I have a client recently that she works with corporations, and she is not, her name is not her website. And she said, I really kind of am not sure that I want to do this, because I work with companies. But she primarily works with small companies. I said, small companies want to know who they're working with.
Yes.
And even though, and I struggled with this when I first built my website I have now, because I put my picture all over it. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of, going against what I say, as far as don't make it about you. But what you can do is take your photos and show yourself doing what you do. So, for me, I had a lot of, sitting in front of a computer or talking to clients or something, but, you can still make that happen. But branded photos of you will really let people see into your soul, because pictures are there. You can look at your eyes and look at the pictures of your soul. But if you're using stock photos, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't tell who you are in the way that pictures can in a story. So we insist upon branded photos for that reason. And that's something that other business owners should consider as well. Don't rely on stock photos. Get your own.
I love that. And well, you can do a combination too, right?
Yeah, we will fill in with some stock photos if we need to. We just finished or we're just about to finish up a website for a professional stylist. Now, it would not work for us to show pictures, like stock photo pictures,
right,
of stock photo people, because you could always tell. I can always tell if it's a stock photo. You can, but we filled in where we're talking about accessories. We filled in a little bit with some stock photo, but for the most part, it's her photo, and we're highlighting her, not the stock photos.
I love that. And the people she works with too, and the transformation that she creates for them. Well, you're making me think of something else, Lori, that I think is a huge momentum killer for people. And it really does hold back a lot of profit. And that is, when you think about the pictures you have on your website, make sure that they are representative of a variety of cultures and races and ages. Obviously it would be really weird. And I've had this with my VAs where I'm like, okay, you all, don't you send me pictures of all white ladies. I don't want to see all white ladies. I want a variety of people of all ages. I don't want to see just young women who are gorgeous model size in professional business attire. I want all shapes, all sizes, all colors. And I want, and because I work more with women, on this page, I want all those women there. So think about in your covers of your books, your covers of your lead magnets, think about in the photos that you have on your website, making them representative of a large cross section of people that you work with that are your ideal client. Yeah. Because I guarantee if you only put a certain kind of person there, it's going to turn off everyone else. Yeah. If I go to a website and it's all men, guess what? I don't feel spoken to.
Right. And a good place to use them is like, especially if your audience is a lot of coaches, if you have programs or if you have packages, those are a good place to use stock photos, and a good place to show the cross section and to show different types of people and different, like you said, different sizes, different ages, different races, and that's a great place to put stock photos. Or if you are doing your own photos and you're having clients, and again, I've got the air quotes going if you're on the podcast, if you get clients coming in, get a cross section, because I work with all different types of people. I work with all different ages of people. I don't just work with women. I work with men as well. So you won't hear me say I work with, small business women or female coaches, because I do work with men. So I want to show men, in my representation, because I want them to know, yes, I work with you.
We're not going to marginalize you, even though you marginalized us in the past. Right. And think about too, you all, I mean, I have to say, I felt very honored when I have people, for example, who are lesbian or gay or trans, who have come to me for work because they realized that I was okay with that. There was no judgment. And so whatever your sexual orientation may be, or your gender status, you can be open. Because I guarantee if you're not, you're leaving money on the table, and there's someone who needs you, who is in a certain population. And if you just, you're like, then you're losing out.
Yeah. And I think, and this is probably going to be a little controversial, but
let's be controversial. This is Bold Badass Business, by the way.
Yeah. I think that the trend has become where you label what type of clients you serve. And I'm thinking now, I'm a Christian. I grew up as a Christian, but I would never say that I am a Christian coach. And I think there are a lot of people out there that are starting to do that, whether it's a popular trend or it's a heartfelt trend. I don't know. But I think when you do that, because of all this crap that's out there, I think that you start to turn people off because that word can be polarizing. And I don't know if that's the intention, but I think you have to be careful. You have to be careful with how you talk and how you call things today.
I love
And
that, Lori. We could do a whole episode just on this because I'll
yes,
tell you what, I kind of always feel when somebody says, I really want to say I'm a Christian coach, or I'm like, that's like honest mechanic. Hmm.
I
Why
know.
do you have to say that? Because
I always in my mind I'm going, well, how do you know?
right. I mean, did Jesus come down and say, "Yes, you are now anointed and coach"? And by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
like I'm not Jewish, but if I were Jewish and I saw that, I'd be like, "Hell no!" Excuse my French.
yeah,
Hell no! I'm not going to that person.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not. You
And
know?
I'm just using that as an example, but I think
Yes.
when we define ourselves and call ourselves something, we have to be very careful of how
Mhm.
that is looked at. And it's the same thing with political statements, and it's the same thing
Mhm.
with, and I'm old school. I will admit it. I'm not 30. And I leave my personal feelings out of my social media or out of my now I will state something that I believe, but I don't go into the controversy. And that's something that's independent, and you have to think about that, decide whether that's going to be you or not. Um,
And
you know,
sometimes it's important to take a stand because I remember when the whole can't think of his name right now, but the whole
George
thing with
Foreman.
George.
Yeah. George
I
Foreman.
mean,
Yep.
I literally went on and ranted.
Uh, George
Um,
Floyd.
yeah, thank you, George Floyd. I
Yeah.
literally went on and ranted,
Yeah.
and and I'm glad I did. I don't have any.
Yeah.
There have been moments that I have gotten on and spoken some things that were very
Mhm.
hard on social media, but I felt like it was important to be real and to be vulnerable, and also to share with that whole
Right.
thing.
And
George
that's
Floyd was
human.
only one of many people who
Right.
have been killed by police
Right.
brutality. And it's like the media seized on this one event, but we're talking
Right.
about something that's happening all the time that
Over
people
and
need to
over.
wake up.
And that's human. I don't
Yeah,
see that as being I see that as human. So
right.
it's,
Nice
I'm
distinction.
there's other things that I'm thinking about that, and for a long time it just seemed like, well, if you thought this way or if you voted this way, I'm not gonna, you're not my friend, I'm
Right.
not gonna do this. And that's where I say, I just made a decision that that wasn't something. If somebody asked me, I'll be happy to tell them, but I'm not gonna post it
Yeah.
out on social media. But you know,
Well,
I
I'm
feel like
really
it's none of your
glad you
business.
brought that thing up about Christian coach because it does
Yeah,
bother me to kind of see that
yeah,
because I feel like it is exclusive. And I was raised Christian, and I
yeah.
have to say that one thing I recognize is that if you do believe in Jesus, well, Jesus hung out with the people he hung out with everybody. He
He
hung out
did.
with harlots and tax collectors who were like hated, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
Jesus got mad. Jesus wasn't always perfect with his perfect halo. He turned over the tables in the temple. He got pissed off sometimes. Jesus got pissed off. And
Right.
so I think that there are ways that we get to challenge some of these things.
Yeah,
And actually, Lori, you're making me realize I used to say I work with spiritual women entrepreneurs who and help them soar into six figures and more, but I ended up changing it to big hearted. And
yeah,
the reason I did that is because I thought even the word spiritual was rather laden with all this baggage.
yeah.
And truthfully, big hearted people includes everyone who wants to really be a giver in the world.
Right, right.
And that's what
Yeah.
I'm about. So
And
I really
spiritual,
appreciate this. This is good
yeah.
stuff, you all. I hope you're really thinking about how you define yourself. And that doesn't mean we're not saying you park your beliefs outside the door and
No,
you go and work with people who do things you don't
yeah.
really
Or make
think
you
are good.
uncomfortable. Make you
Right.
uncomfortable.
You
Right.
got to be in
Yeah,
alignment. You
yeah.
really do have to be in alignment with what feels right. And I've even had people say, Lori, because I speak for churches. Here's something you need to know. It's that I speak for churches. I'm part of the unity movement, and I speak for a lot of churches. I keep out my occasional expletive when I'm speaking I don't use those. But even a word like bold, badass business, for a while I sat with it and I said, well, there may be people who don't like this. They may be like, oh, badass. I don't quite say the word ass. And then I had to get clear that really it is something of my spirit. It's like, we are saying the things,
Right.
contrarian things on here.
I thought you meant donkey.
Yeah, we're showing donkeys. We're showing donkey butts. We're showing donkey ears. But we're doing, we do things that are kind of edgy sometimes. And that's the way I want it to be. There's another thing. Jesus was edgy. Okay. So let's talk about any leader is gonna repel some people. And bring in some people. But it is a very powerful thing that you said about thinking about your ways that you describe what you do and you describe yourself and make yourself different. Don't just be like a marketing expert, be the marketing strategist extraordinaire.
Right.
Well, and don't put yourself as the Republican or Democratic, marketing strategist extraordinaire.
Or libertarian, as the case may be.
Libertarian or
it's in spiritual, to get back to what you said earlier, spiritual has a lot of different connotations now.
It does.
There's a lot of different meanings. And so I just tell, if anybody asks me anything, I'm very open to what I believe, and I'm very open to, but I'm not going to put it out there, but I will be honest if somebody asks, but I want my clients to be comfortable. I want, you want a certain, especially with something like this, because there's nothing that will kill momentum faster than not appreciating and having a headbutt relationship with the person that's supposed to be helping you grow your business. So, ask the questions of them, ask the questions of what some of the things that they think, and, and make sure you're comfortable or in alignment, and I've had clients say to me, I don't do this. I'm like, okay, great. I don't curse. I don't drink. I don't whatever. Fine. Not that we're.
And so you just say, well, sorry, we won't smoke joints, I guess, during our.
I know. Don't look at the page. Don't look at the page. I've got a page on my website here. I've got a page on my website where I'm toasting with a Cosmopolitan, but in actuality, it's really raspberry Gatorade.
Oh, that's funny.
But I wanted something there.
And it was 10 o'clock in the shows, right? I work Suits right now, and I'm just wondering. I'm like, how do they get all these? How do they get all this stuff that looks like all the liquor and everything they drink on there? Yeah. But obviously they know. Well, Lori, this is awesome. You have given us so much good stuff. I hope everybody here, I hope you have stopped walking your dog and made your dog sit down, and that you've written down some of this stuff, because you will be saving yourself a lot of frustration and heartache. And also you'll be saving that, if you're an aspiring business owner, you'll be saving that person who helped you on your website a lot of heartache and frustration too, because when you get to them, you'll be in a much better place for them to help you. So Lori, I know that you have something to give us, and I want to tell you, I just want to remind you, we have the coolest thing on Bold Badass Business, and that is the freebie vault. And all you need to do to get to the freebie vault is you go to bit.ly/free from Dr. B, free from Dr. B, and that's DRB. I made it easy to remember. I made it rhyme. bit.ly/free from Dr. B. Now, the cool thing, when you go there and you put in your email, you're going to get access to all the episodes, all the gifts from all the guests, including Lori. And this is thousands and thousands of dollars of great information, sessions, free sessions, checklists, lead magnets galore, all sorts of stuff that is completely free. And we are going to be adding Lori's special gift to that. So Lori, tell them really quickly, what is the gift that you are giving us? And let me give you a drum roll.
Awesome. Yes, is the top messy marketing mistakes that small business owners make that cost them time, money, and clients. And some of them we've hit upon just a little bit, but there are 10 of them. And actually there's 11 because I threw an extra in there. So you can go to, it's messymarketing.com.
Oh, wait, I'm going to stop you. Okay. Go to the bit.ly free from Dr. B, because it's going to be in there along with all the other stuff.
Absolutely. With all of the other cool things.
All of
So,
the other
yes.
stuff. So you don't, go get Lori's thing, and then you get to go down and say, oh my gosh, this episode looks interesting. I want to get this session, or I want to get that. All right. So that is fabulous. Messy marketing mistakes. I like the alliteration too, Lori. I have to say, messy marketing mistakes. That's great. And they are messy, and they create messes that then you have to clean up, kind of like you clean up after your dog. And you don't want to do that, do you? No. So, Lori, any last words of wisdom for everybody listening about how to get their momentum going forward rather than stuck?
Yes. I think closing words would be, think about how you serve. Think about what you do for your clients. Think about how you're going to talk to your clients. Um, think about how you solve their problem. Put all that together, go out, get clients, make money, and then call me and I'll do your website. Do the other two first.
I love that. She's giving you homework, you all. That's so good. And I'm going to give you homework too. And that homework is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also to share this with somebody you know of who wants to start a business and isn't quite getting the momentum going, or maybe they're in business, but they are just kind of struggling. Share it with somebody and inspire them and empower them, and, share the freebie vault, because they have so much information and so much good stuff they can get there. I'll see you all next week again, Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. And thank you so much again, Lori, for coming and sharing the momentum killers so that we can keep going forward and being business badasses.
Thank you, Dr. Barnsley.